The undeserved grace we have received from God. What if the most important thing in your life was never earned? It was simply given. A gift so massive you could never repay it. The undeserved grace we have received from God. Welcome to this teaching on the undeserved grace we have received from God. Today we're going to explore what grace really is, why we don't deserve it, and how understanding it changes everything about how we live. By the end, you'll have practical ways to receive and reflect this grace daily. First, let's define it clearly. Grace is God's unmerited favor, His kindness toward us when we deserve the opposite. The Bible says in Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8 to 9, "For it is by grace you have been saved, through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God, not by works, so that no one can boast." Think about that for a moment. Salvation, forgiveness, a relationship with God, none of it is earned. It's a gift. Let me share a quick story to make this real. Imagine a judge who has every right to punish a guilty criminal, but instead pays the fine himself and sets the person free, not because they improved, but purely out of love. That's a small picture of what God did through Jesus on the cross. Here's a surprising fact. The word grace appears over 170 times in the New Testament. It's not a side note, it's central to the gospel. Now, why is this grace so undeserved? Because all of us have sinned and fall short of God's glory. Romans chapter 3 verse 23. None of us are good enough on our own. We can't earn our way to heaven through good deeds, church attendance, or being a nice person. That's humbling, isn't it? But here's where the good news explodes. God didn't wait for us to get better. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Romans chapter 5 verse 8. That's grace. Let me give you a simple tutorial. 3 practical ways to live in this grace every day. First, receive it daily. Start your morning by reminding yourself, I am saved by grace, not by my performance. When guilt hits, speak Ephesians chapter 2 verses 8 to 9 out loud. This breaks the cycle of trying to earn God's love. Second, rest in it. Many of us live exhausted, trying to prove we're worthy. Grace invites us to rest. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew chapter 11 verse 28. The shepherd carries the sheep. We don't carry him. Third, reflect it. Once you've received undeserved grace, you become better at giving it to others. Forgive quickly. Show kindness to difficult people. Point others to the same grace that changed you. One open question to think about. In what area of your life are you still trying to earn what God freely gives? We'll come back to that in a moment. But first, here's another powerful truth. Grace doesn't just save us. It transforms us. It teaches us to say no to ungodliness and live self-controlled, upright lives. Titus chapter 2 verses 11 to 12. Grace is both a gift and a teacher. Imagine standing in a courtroom, guilty of every single charge brought against you. The evidence is undeniable. The judge raises the gavel, looks you in the eye, and instead of sentencing you, he steps down, pays your fine in full, and hands you the keys to his own home. It sounds completely illogical, right? But in the realm of faith, this paradox has a specific name: grace. Welcome. Today, we are breaking down one of the most profound, life-altering concepts in theology, the undeserved grace we receive from God. If you've ever felt like you aren't good enough, or if you've struggled to understand how a perfect creator could look at an imperfect humanity with favor, this video is for you. In this tutorial, we will unpack exactly what grace is, contrast it with mercy and justice, examine the mechanics of how it operates in our daily lives, and look at how it transforms our identity. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand the theory of grace, but you'll also see how to actively live in it every single day. To truly grasp grace, we first have to understand what it is not. People often confuse 3 distinct concepts: justice, mercy, and grace. Let's look at them as a progression. First, there is justice. Justice is getting exactly what you deserve. If you break a law, you pay the penalty. In a spiritual sense, because humanity falls short of perfection. Strict justice would mean separation from a perfect God. Next, we elevate to mercy. Mercy is not getting the punishment you do deserve. It's the suspension of the sentence. It's the judge choosing not to lock the courtroom door. But then, we reach the highest level, grace. Grace goes a massive step beyond mercy. Grace is receiving a lavish, beautiful gift that you did absolutely nothing to earn, merit, or deserve. Think of it this way. Justice is the penalty. Mercy is the pardon. Grace is the promotion to royalty. Keep this progression in mind, because in a few moments, we're going to look at a historical shift that changed how humanity accesses this gift forever. Now let's look at the mechanics. Why is it called undeserved, or unmerited, favor? In our world, almost everything operates on a transaction. You work hours, you get paid a salary. You study hard, you get an A. You treat someone well, they treat you well. We are deeply conditioned to believe that our value equals our performance. Because of this conditioning, we often try to apply transactional logic to God. We think, if I pray longer, read more, or act perfectly, God will love me more. But divine grace completely shatters the transactional model. The theological truth is this: you cannot earn grace. If you could earn it, it would be a wage, not a gift. There is nothing you can do to make God love you more, and there is nothing you have done that makes him love you less. It is a completely free, unconditional favor initiated entirely by the Creator. So, how does this play out practically? When a person truly internalizes that they are covered by an unearned, infinite grace, it rewrites their internal software. It removes shame. You no longer have to carry the weight of past mistakes because grace has already covered the cost. It removes anxiety. You no longer have to perform or wear a mask to prove your worth to the universe. However, there is a common pitfall here, a misunderstanding called cheap grace. Some might think, if grace is free and covers everything, does it matter how I live? The answer is a resounding no. True grace isn't a license to do whatever we want. It is the fuel that makes us want to live better. When someone saves your life at immense cost to themselves, your response isn't to disregard them. It's a profound, overflowing sense of gratitude that changes how you walk through the world. Grace transforms your motivation from living good to be accepted to living good because you are already accepted.